Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I'm your host, Joe Zollo. We are less than 24 hours away from the 2025 NFL Draft, and we have all the storylines because this tends to be the time in the 48 hours leading up to the draft where things start to get a little hectic and chaotic, and we have yet to see a first-round draft pick be traded, which is historical up until this point. It'll be very interesting. We hear the Browns and the Giants are fielding calls for 2 and 3. There's a whole bunch of mocks that have some people moving around, but we're going to start with one of the biggest names in this draft that just seems to continually be falling due to arrogance, and that is no shock because of his father. Let's get into that, though, here. No pun intended, Wednesday night. Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I'm your host, Joe Zollo. It is the triage of idiots here today. Josh, Ryan, myself.
We back, baby.
We're back, and we'll be back again tomorrow.
Yeah.
For our 8th, 7th, 9th, 100th, 8th annual live NFL draft coverage from a fantasy football perspective. Yes, we're the originals. Everyone else started fucking doing it during COVID because they were bored as hell.
Yep.
And 90% of those people aren't here anymore. And now we're here. And we're here before, and now we're here now. So here we go. It's going to be a great time that we have coming up. I'm not afraid to say it. I don't care.
Fuck 'em.
Yeah, it's going to... Fuck 'em, baby. My little thing says Shaq shit stain. Like, that's my little... Did you guys not see that?
Where did this come from?
Oh, God, that was so funny.
My God. Shaq ran off the set of NBA on TNT very clearly, like, was about to shit his pants. Like,
yeah,
so clearly.
Apparently he's been drinking olive oil for like gut health, and it did not agree with him. So.
No. So then today on set, they put a porta potty next to his station at the desk. I loved
when Kenny was like, "Please just turn his mic off."
Yeah. Shaq shit stain. That's what we're rolling with today, folks. So. What we normally do at this point in time is we normally do an NFL mock draft on the day before the NFL draft. We hated that. I don't know. It wasn't great.
I mean, to be clear, it's an enormous waste of time. No offense to those who do mock drafts out there, but
thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, they're fun talking points. The biggest reason why I wanted to pivot this year, we didn't have anybody on staff that actually decided they wanted to write one. Smart. And usually our draft, like our mock draft, will kind of like highlight that, and then we'll go through and kind of break it down and talk about some of the players and stuff. But I also think too that you're really not going to have a ton of fantasy relevant players that are going in the first round.
Yeah, it's offensive.
I think it's going to be a lot of offensive linemen, defensive linemen. You'll have obviously a couple quarterbacks, some of the tight ends, maybe a few running backs, but
Josh,
we did a big wide receiver class in the first round.
We did the mock draft for fun. And some of our own people called it out that you could tell fantasy people did this mock draft because way too many offensive players went. And that's what always happened when you get groups of us in a room together. We want all offense, and it never happens. So
let's just go one. Well, last year we got spoiled. What was it? 12 of the first 15 picks were offensive players.
Yeah, that was that.
They were all position players. And then the biggest epitome of fantasy football running mock drafts, Malik Willis was a top 10 pick.
At one point, he was the second overall pick.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. So that's how this is. But we have some of the
and that's a big reason why I'm not really that sold on this quarterback class.
Yeah, I'm telling
you, because I feel like there's more noise than what's actually going to happen. Because everybody was telling me that Pickett and Willis and Ritter would end up being, or Sam Howell potentially being first round picks, and only one of them was, and the others didn't even go till the third round.
Well,
so that's why I'm not like jumping on the bandwagon to anoint some of these quarterbacks.
For those who don't watch Mock It Like It's Hot, we kind of stumbled into that same scenario on Friday, Josh, where we kind of were like shitting on the quarterback class. And I'm like, I'm getting those vibes of that class. And then my favorite part, after talking Cam Ward up earlier in the show, towards the end, Austin's like, I was watching Elijah Arroyo tape, and all I could think was, man, if this guy had a quarterback. And I said, Austin, his quarterback was Cam Ward. And he goes, oh my God. He's like, I had no idea. He was like, I was watching Arroyo tape. It never occurred to me that Cam Ward was his quarterback. And I'm like, so we've already found flaws in Cam Ward, and he's the first fucking pick of the draft. So
that's something where no prospect is perfect, right? No prospect is perfect. So I think Cam Ward has earned his status here. Now, if the quarterback position wasn't by far the most important position in the NFL, would Cam Ward go 1? No, he might not even go inside the top 5. You could even argue the top 10. And I think we've said that from the beginning.
I'll say it right now. I think Tennessee's fucking up. You put this money into Levis. You guys know I bitch every time that people give up on people too quickly.
They put money into Levis. He was a second-round pick.
Okay, for some reason I thought he was the end of the first round, but regardless, you have Levis still on a rookie contract, and you have Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter, who are looked at as not generational, because I hate that term, though Travis Hunter could very well be generational because he's the only one who does what he does. I think it's a mistake to take Cam Ward at the first pick of this draft. So
you need a quarterback. See Cleveland Browns drafting Myles Garrett. They are nowhere closer to even making the playoffs.
Yeah, they needed a quarterback when they drafted Malik Willis too. So let's see how that goes.
But they drafted Malik Willis in the 3rd round.
Yeah, so this is just a worse mistake.
I don't know about that.
I like Cam Ward. I don't want to go too far off track here. I like Cam Ward.
You got to.
I don't know that I'm making this pick.
You got to swing. Who would you take 1?
Travis Hunter.
That does nothing for you. There has not. It does nothing for you. If you play him at corner, that really does nothing for you. If you play him receiver, it does nothing for you. That does not
get anybody to get him the football.
That does not get you anywhere closer to not being a top 5 pick next year. And we all know the next classes here and there are not good.
But there's no Travis Hunter in the next class.
Okay, cool.
I'm with G. He just said exactly what I was about to say. So.
All right, great.
Except Arch Manning's not coming out next year.
Correct. Arch Manning is 2027.
I will put money on the fact that Arch Manning is not coming out until 2027.
Okay.
I need that bet on FanDuel or wherever the
100%.
sportsbooks are.
If a good team falls and is sitting at 1, and maybe Arch Manning comes out, but Eli Manning.
Good teams don't fall to number 1 overall. That's the problem.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing is you would need a Chicago Bears situation where they were set up very well around the quarterback. They just chose the wrong one, apparently. Because as of right now, he looks like the worst of the 6 that went in the first, not including JJ McCarthy. Obviously, he was injured. And not Desmond Ridder, holy hell. Michael Penix Jr. Was obviously only played a couple games, but neither here nor there. From Bruce Feldman of The Athletic, he says, an NFL offensive coordinator said, this is such a bad quarterback class. I think they're all developmental guys. Now, here's why I hate the draft, is because you could line up Jerry Rice, Tom Brady, Randy Moss, Joe Montana, and fucking Reggie White, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In some NFL GM's going to be like, yeah, there's no talent in this class. They're all developmental. Well, I don't disagree with this statement. Every single year, right? Yeah. There were bad things said about Jaden Daniels last year.
Yeah.
He looks like a fucking MVP. Like there's all these, there's bad things about some of the best prospects, especially at the quarterback position. And rightfully so, they don't coach in college anymore. They just play. So that's understandable. But it feels like this is just like it every single year. Oh, I've talked to an NFL offensive coordinator and they said this. Put a fucking name behind it. Put your
I mean, the reason that they don't come out with, names and everything obviously is
what if you end up with that guy?
Exactly. That's the other side of it, right? Like, because teams are always like, we don't want leaks. We don't want leaks. Don't talk about this, blah, blah, blah. But, there's a reason that insiders, right? Like Feldman and Schefter and Rappaport, like there's a reason that position exists for networks. People want this information. So somebody's got to give it, right?
Yeah,
so
at
that point,
I want
like,
somebody to put their
you
sack
can't
on the
come
table
through.
and put their name to it. Like,
yeah. So, okay. Well, listen to Mike Tannenbaum. He has no problem doing it, right? Because
Mike Tannenbaum's the biggest fucking dumbass on
but
planet
he's
Earth.
also not employed by an NFL team anymore.
Yeah.
That's why he's willing to do it,
Yeah,
right?
he's employed by ESPN, and everyone's like, oh, former NFL GM Mike Tannenbaum. Let's get his thoughts. He GM'd 5 horrible fucking teams. What do you mean? He was the GM of the Jets, guys. The worst team since the fucking owner took over.
Of the Dolphins.
And the Dolphins. Oh my
During
God.
some of their worst years, too.
Don't worry, guys. He had Chad Pennington. Yeah, okay.
No.
Thanks.
I just like with this quarterback class, like the biggest thing I look at, and Ryan, I get what you're saying about Cam Ward. And as somebody that's seen a ton of Cam Ward as a Miami fan, there's definitely a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of ups and downs with everybody. The thing with Cam Ward is he wants to make plays, right? But I think the biggest thing that when you're looking at progressions with him, like, can he continually get better? When you look at all of his stops in college, he was a 0-star coming out of high school. He went to Incarnate Word or something, like some
Put some fucking respect on the Incarnate Word, okay?
Okay.
D1
then goes to Washington
powerhouse.
State and then goes to Miami. And he got progressively better at every single stop. That's somebody that is willing to put in the work and wants to be good. And I think when you are an NFL team, those are traits that you need to look at. I saw something that I believe it was Jay Glazer that tweeted out today that there are a lot of teams that will have like 2 different columns when it comes to prospects that they're looking at, medical red flags, character red flags. And then some teams are actually coming up with a 3rd column, and it is specific to this new like NIL era of college football. Do they love football? That's the column.
Oh, yeah.
Because if they don't love football, if they're just in it for the money, some of these people just do not want these players on their teams because they're going to be a waste of time for them.
Hey, respectfully, Cam Ward threw for 4,700 yards and 47 touchdowns at the fucking Incarnate Word. All right.
Yeah. I don't want to make myself the Cam Ward hater of this show. I like Cam Ward, and I fully believe Cam Ward is a better quarterback than Will Levis. So I don't want to make it like I'm saying something I'm not. I'm just saying I'm not sold on any of these quarterbacks, and I have PTSD from the Kenny Pickett class. So
I just don't think
so much better than Kenny Pickett.
I was gonna say that's the thing is like we were scrounging, right? We were scrounging.
Yeah, well,
Cam Ward is definitively better.
100%. And I owned up to this because I caught some shit on Friday for admitting that I was in love with Desmond Ridder. But I was like, when you looked at that class, I thought I was being contrarian by liking Ridder because I didn't like Kenny Pickett and I didn't like Malik Willis. So I was like, I got to like one of these guys. And I thought I liked Ridder. And I mean, it turns out we were all hugely fucking wrong, as none of these guys play for the team that drafted them anymore.
Agreed. And I think we were stretching as a fantasy football community,
100%.
wanting these to be good. But if you just look at straight talent, the top 3 guys pretty definitively are Ward, Sanders, and Jackson Dart. They all just straight up skill wise, doesn't matter if they can read coverage, if they have the head for it, straight skill wise,
they're better than Willis.
It's not even like in this class. Kenny Pickett is a 7th round pick,
and I think that's another thing that really stuck out to me is all of these quarterbacks are also tied to elite wide receivers from this class. And I think that speaks a little bit better to the talent of the quarterbacks, where we weren't talking about Liberty wide receivers. We were barely talking about Alec Pierce.
What do you mean? Weren't you talking about Antonio Gandy?
I was going to say, you were all over Antonio Gandy Golden.
I'll see myself off the show now.
I was going to say, what do you mean? Fucking Demario Douglas. Put some fucking respect on Liberty University.
I had no idea.
Yep. Demario Douglas, 6th round pick, Liberty University.
Okay.
Yeah.
He wasn't elite. There with Willis, though, right? Oh, no, I guess he would have been. So, yeah.
Would have been. Yeah, that would probably been, I don't know if he came out as a junior, but it would have been either his junior or
regardless,
sophomore year.
We weren't taking any of these guys, literally none of these players in the 1st round, including Alec Pierce. So none of those guys were putting a wide receiver in the 1st round of the NFL draft. We're talking about these guys having 1st and 2nd round wide receivers, which we did not have when it came to that draft. So, again, PTSD, but I'm willing to get over it.
Yeah, I mean, Cam Ward had Restrepo, who, like, I feel like he would be in that second, third conversation.
Well, Restrepo and Arroyo,
right? Arroyo being the tight end there. Damian Martinez has gotten a lot of run to at the running back position, but he also had other playmakers that were making plays. They weren't the go-to wide receiver, right? Like Miami had a cadre of weapons. Shedeur Sanders, kind of the same thing. He had Travis Hunter as the elite guy. Jimmy Horn was there. There were a couple other people as well. And Jackson Dart had Trey Harris, who's getting a lot of push. Some people think that he might sneak into the back end of the first round. He's likely a second, maybe a third round pick. They've got guys that produced. Jalen Milroe had Ryan Williams, right? An elite talent, a wide receiver. He's only a freshman, though. He's not coming out this year. So they're like a lot of these guys, they had somebody to throw to.
Yeah.
Helps make the case.
I believe in name value, and by name value, I mean guys with cool names.
Okay.
So I think Xavier Restrepo is a lock to be a Pro Bowler at least 1 year, because that's a sick name. You cannot have a last name Dart and not at least be a top half quarterback in the league. I'm not telling you he's an all-pro, but what I am telling you is he's going to give you a couple good seasons, and you're going to plug him in your fantasy lineup a couple times this year, and you're not going to be
Dart. I like what I saw from him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know dog shit about the guy. I just know that his last name, he spells Jackson cool, and his last name is Dart. All right, higher on my list, my guy.
That's all Joe needs.
The one guy who is all over the fucking map and is on record saying it's like his top 5 like quarterback, wide receiver, quarterback weapon duos of all time. He said the quarterback and whoever's going to be throwing to DK Metcalf and George Pickens this year. So that almost locks in Shedeur Sanders to be a Pittsburgh Steeler coming tomorrow. But we have seen Shedeur Sanders mocked to the Giants. We have seen him mocked to the Browns. We have seen him mocked to the Saints. We've seen him mocked to the Steelers. I'm pretty sure we've seen him mocked as the Giants trade back into the first round to take him with a second first round pick. I don't know. I don't know.
Starting to get them Brady Quinn vibes.
Is he good? Is he horrible? Is it all character questions? I really don't know, because what I've seen of Shedeur Sanders is he has an insane arm. His arm talent is very good. I can't really judge you when you're going against Colorado State. So that to me is tough if you can read a defense. That one's a tough one. But very clearly he took a lot of sacks. That's a very bad statistic, especially in today's NFL. His offensive line wasn't great, but obviously getting drafted this high, and even if you go to the Steelers, none of those teams have good offensive lines. The Saints have the lowest ranked offensive line in the NFL. The Steelers have a bottom half of the NFL offensive line. Browns, same thing. Giants, they have a left tackle.
Yeah,
they're getting better, but they aren't great. So I don't know where you guys sit on Shedeur. I think he's going to be a good player, but if he has his dad's mentality of I'm the best already, that's not going to fly.
I think the NFL is going to beat that out of him pretty quickly on his own team. But what I will say is I agree with you, Joe. He's so accurate, and that's a premium in today's NFL. He's not going to turn the ball over. Yeah, great arm talent. The sacks is an issue, though. I learned it a few years ago. I fully am bought in. Sacks is a QB stat. It's not an offensive line stat. Obviously, a bad offensive line doesn't help, but there are other things you can do with the ball than keep taking a hit. So
I will add to that saying that the Patriots offensive line was dog ass last year, and the offense as a whole took a lot less sacks when Drake May came into the game as opposed to Jacoby Brissett. So I started believing in it a little bit. I still do think it is like 75-25, but yeah.
Yeah. The fall needs to be studied because Josh has some interesting stats in here. Josh, I don't know if you want to read them or if you want Joe to read them, but the over-under lines on Shedeur, way they have changed. Oh my God,
they have moved so much since
it's wild. I read the same thing today and I was coming to make sure it was in the show sheet. So
yeah. And when I went through and updated it today, the line on DraftKings jumped again.
Yeah.
Like it's absolutely wild.
Nobody
I did the
knows.
show sheet on Monday, and the line for Shedeur was 8.5.
Yeah.
When I checked again today, and again 8.5 on DraftKings. That's where I was mainly looking when I was doing these lines. It jumped to 10.5 today,
and then
is currently at 14.5. On FanDuel, it jumped from 8.5 to 21.5.
That's insane.
Like that is a wild jump for any prospect, let alone
to Emma's point,
proposed QB2 of this draft.
All that kind of happened after this jersey retirement debacle, and I think a lot of people are just tired of this shit already. And there was that. I know Joe loves the anonymous sources, but there was the guy who came out and said, most arrogant interview I've ever been a part of. Josh, the guy kind of alluded that maybe he doesn't respect the game of football. Not so much that he doesn't love football, but he certainly doesn't respect the game of football. There's a lot there where it needs to be the right landing spot. And that really has me leaning again. Me and G are locked in today. When I did my mock draft today, Shedeur Sanders to the Raiders with Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly doesn't feel like a bad move to me when you get a Geno Smith there already. I'm kind of locked in with G.
Well, he needs
Do you
Max
think
Crosby.
they take him at 6 though?
Yeah, I don't think they do.
Because I don't think he falls to the second round.
If Jeanty's gone, maybe.
They're going tackle. They're going offensive line.
They should, as they should.
They should.
But Pete Carroll.
That's why I say it takes one
Carroll's
team
also a defensive guy too. Like I could very well
he
see
took
them going
LJ Collier in the first round.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they could very well they could be that surprise team for Jalen Walker, right? Like that everybody seems to have Walker pegged to the Panthers at 8, and then if the Panthers go a different direction, I've seen him slide all the way to Philly at 32. It's like they can't seemingly peg where this guy goes, yet it's so wild to me. It's wild to me because I feel like he's a top 5 talent in this draft class. But 8 makes a lot of sense because that's what Carolina needs. Raiders need somebody that can take pressure off of Max Crosby because they tried a couple drafts ago with, I believe it was Tyree Wilson, and he's been a ghost. He's done nothing. So they clearly need a second like edge rusher. You put Walker opposite Crosby. Oh my God, that defense is taking a big step.
They have Christian Wilkins.
Yeah, I say they picked up Wilkins.
That defensive tackle.
Yeah, that's still it's fucking.
But even he was very disappointing last year.
He was. I'll give you that.
Even
he was very
the big
disappointing
contract.
last year.
It's also a new Raiders team now heading into this year. So
yeah, I don't know. I think with Pete Carroll there, the defense, everybody in the defense just takes a step up just because of his presence.
If Pete Carroll believes that this is a team that can win pretty quickly, he's clearly not going Shedeur Sanders because he just went out and got Geno Smith.
And then extended him, right?
Yeah, and extended
They will take a developmental quarterback at some point in this draft.
Just not in round 1, which is what it's going to take.
Exactly. They could maybe in round 2, like if Shedeur really I think the biggest thing is if Shedeur Sanders gets past Pittsburgh, we saw it with Aaron Rodgers. We saw Aaron Rodgers back in.
Oh, but it's a trade up. You're getting that 5th year option.
Somebody is going to trade back up, and there are plenty of teams in that top part of the second round. You've got Browns at 33, Giants at 34, Saints at 40.
Yeah, all the teams that we thought were going to take him in round 1.
And the Raiders, exactly, right? Like
the
Raiders
was Rodgers this hyped up though going into that draft?
People were talking about him as the number 1 overall pick.
They thought he would go,
and that's when KC or San Francisco pivoted to Alex Smith.
Yeah.
And
Rodgers that might have been the first. That might have been the first green room like debacle.
Like the most publicized one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like 7. Yeah. So I don't remember that time because that was 2005, right? That was that draft.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 20 years ago now. And that fucking villain is still existing in the NFL, and that's a horrible sign. So it is crazy the amount of the move of a line move from 8.5 to 21.5. That's
wild.
13 pick. That's insane. Especially,
I'm honestly surprised that FanDuel or that DraftKings hasn't gotten as high as FanDuel yet. Like 14.5 still feels like, like you can make that case. Like I'm kind of at a point where I think he's going to be a Steeler. I truthfully do. But I think when you set it at 14.5, that tells me that there's people that think that if the 2 tight ends are off the board, the Colts are going to look to move back, and the Steelers could look to move up just to make sure they get their guy.
Peter Schrager is the only mock draft I'm looking at because he does 1, and I respect the hell out of that. he has the Colts moving into the top 10, trading with Chicago to take Colston Loveland.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think he's one of the few that actually had 2 tight ends going in the top.
Respectfully,
was Warren gone already?
Warren was gone at 7 to the Jets.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, are you putting Loveland ahead of Warren? But okay, that makes sense.
So again,
because I feel like the Colts would die for Warren because of his blocking ability, but that's for later.
Our resident UGA and Brock Bowers lover in the chat. Again, and now obviously Brock Bowers went later because the talent last year's draft was crazy heavy. But are we really going to sit here and say that
no
2 tight ends should be drafted inside the top 10? Like, are Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland that good? And I'm gonna
throw it out there. Worked on my mock today. Couldn't get either one of them in the top 10.
I'm like saying them like
really
didn't
I can easily get at least one of them in the top 10.
Respectfully, you're in the top 10. Tight end is the least of your worries. Respectfully,
that's where I was, Joe. That's 100% where I was.
The Jets, go pick an offensive lineman.
Yeah,
trade back,
and there's good ones in this draft.
Yeah, I haven't taken that Mamadou or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Armand Memba.
And G says Warren's a freak. I get that's fine. He could be amazing. That is doing you nothing. Yeah, the New York Jets, that's doing you nothing. And we said that last year. Like, obviously, but like, here's the thing. Brock Bowers, it didn't fucking matter. You could put why am I blanking on his fucking name? Nathan what? Oh my god.
Peterman.
Thank you, Nathan Peterman. You could put Nathan Peterman back there, and Brock Bowers still would have been an all-pro. He still would have been the best tight end in the NFL. Can you tell me that Tyler Warren is going to be that? And hell, can you tell me Colston Loveland is going to be that with Anthony Richardson at quarterback? Like, go draft a corner.
Yeah.
Take an offensive lineman. Trade that pick for a quarterback coach. Do something. You don't respectfully, like Mo Alley Cox is fine. He is fine. The tight end position is worthless.
I think they re-signed him, honestly.
Yeah,
great.
Cox is gone. It's
awesome. Kylan Granson, also
gone.
A good choice. Okay.
He's in Philly.
Yeah. I don't care who the fucking tight end is. It doesn't matter. You're fine. Unless you are Rob Gronkowski, Tony Gonzalez, or Brock Bowers, or Travis Kelce, it doesn't fucking matter who you put at the tight end position.
Right now, they're top 2. Oh, no, Mo Alley Cox is still there. I apologize. It's Mo Alley Cox and Drew Ogletree.
Will Mallory should still be there. He's going into year 3, I believe.
He was like 5th on the depth chart. If he was even on the depth chart, it was really weird.
You want to know what's great about
the Jets got
Ryan?
Stone Smart.
Yeah. Ryan, you want to know what's great about Ogletree? He had 2 weeks last year. He was a top 10 tight end. You want to know why?
Off of
you have to
2
catch
touchdowns.
a fucking touchdown.
Yeah.
You don't need a tight end in the top 10, let alone trade up for one.
Let's talk about this. The Raiders got the best tight end in a generation last year, and they're still picking top 10s.
Exactly.
Exactly.
There's no reason. There's no reason to take him. They're actually drafting higher than they did last year.
They got worse with Brock Bowers.
They got worse with Brock
We got
Bowers.
way off track here.
No, we're talking about the draft.
We're halfway through the show and have gotten nowhere.
Oh my god. We've had great talks, but the next, because the quarterbacks are obviously the most compelling part of this. Jackson Dart is very interesting. We have seen mocks, and again, I'm only referencing Peter Schrager's mock because he does one mock 48 hours out from the NFL draft. Dog.
Love it.
Love it. It's not fucking NFL Network that does a different mock draft every day, and the guys just literally at points just start trading picks for fucking fun and say Ashton Jeanty's going 1.
Cannot
stand.
Yeah,
the ones that I like to read are the ones that are doing the mocks based on like what they're hearing 100%. From sources. That's why I like Peter Schrager's, because he does it based on what he's hearing. It's
48 hours.
This before. Is what I would do if I were the GM kind of thing.
Yes. So in Peter Schrager's mock draft, he has the Giants trading back into the first round. Shockingly, Sean McVay trades another first round pick. So I believe this 200%.
Yeah.
But they would trade back into the first round to get Jackson Dart. So
I think Dart is the guy that Brian Daboll wants. I was talking with I think it was Hoove actually, and we were kind of discussing like, Daboll wanting Dart, potentially, taking him as high as 3 just to make sure that he gets his guy instead of losing him to the Saints or potentially the Steelers or whatever. And I was like, I mean, I get it. Like, you need a quarterback at that point. Like, value goes out the window for the most important position. And like, if that's your guy, take your guy. Like that's what got the Giants in trouble when they took Daniel Jones, right?
Words out of my mouth.
So, but at the end of the day, Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen, I think, are in a lose-lose situation. It does not matter who they take. They're not going to last this season.
No,
at all.
They're getting fired.
Unless Jackson Dart is Bo Nix and can come in and turn them around. So.
But he's not.
That's what I'm saying.
So underdeveloped.
Yeah.
He's so underdeveloped. I mean, the good thing for the Giants is that they at least have viable options, or what we expect to be viable options, to at least help them get to 7-8 wins, where Jackson Dart can sit behind Russ, can sit behind Jameis, and actually learn the playbook, learn the NFL lifestyle, etc. All those things. That's a place where a young rookie quarterback can go. Now, of course, what you question is, do you trust Mike Kafka to develop a quarterback? Do you trust Brian Daboll to be able to pull himself away from all of the other things that a head coach has to do to teach a young quarterback how to play and learn the game?
And that's where I'm confused with the Giants in general, because I'm one of the ones that went away from them taking a quarterback, because you went out and signed these 2 one-year deals. And I understand that does nothing for the future, but who in that organization is playing for the fucking future right now?
You're playing for right now. Exactly.
You need to be above 500 to save your job.
100%.
Plain and simple.
But I mean, with all the reports coming out with the Giants that like the room is still split on who the favorite is and all this kind of stuff, like, I personally think that John Mara is going to get involved. He's going to make a case.
He's going to take the quarterback. Yeah,
he's going to make a case for Shedeur Sanders. And this is my biggest reason why. We've seen the New York media absolutely swallow up talented players because they don't have the mentality
that's not
to handle that market.
Sanders.
You do not have that problem with Shedeur Sanders.
Shedor's going to walk up to the podium and do this.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Like, he has been in the spotlight since he was in the womb, since he was a fetus.
Yeah.
He's been in the spotlight. So he can handle the New York media. If you're John Mara, that is what you want from a quarterback.
Especially
Shedeur Sanders can play. It's not like you're drafting a guy.
Especially with the Jets shrinking right now. Like, this is your chance to and the Jets kind of won New York media with Aaron Rodgers. The Giants took it back over for all the wrong reasons because of Saquon Barkley.
Well, the Jets took it over for all the wrong reasons as well.
Well, there's that too. Yeah. They've all been taking the media for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
This is the Giants possibly taking it back for the right reasons.
Yeah. So what's interesting, I want to pose a question. Now, I think we all know that we probably agree that Shedeur is going to go ahead of Jackson Dart. But at points in times, Shedeur was going to go 2 to the Browns or 3 to the Giants. And Dart was projected to go to the Saints at 9. I saw a couple mocks like that early on.
I've seen a couple mocks with him at 9 to the Saints and even 21 to the Steelers.
Exactly.
And Steelers to 21 has been my most popular.
And there were mocks. There were mocks with him going to he was the very heavy favorite to the Steelers until Shedeur started falling here. Would it surprise anybody if Dart goes ahead of Shedeur Sanders?
No.
Not even a little bit.
It's interesting. It's very interesting that that could be the case.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson Dart is plus 185 to be the second quarterback off the board. Like, I mean, Sanders is minus 220. So, I mean, it's not like that.
There's
big.
There's not money to be made on either one, which is
no.
Yeah. Yep. But in terms of quarterbacks go in the first round, the best odds are obviously the Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. Dart is minus 250. Jalen Milrose plus 165. That's the Lamar Jackson line right there.
That's a sucker ass line. I would not.
That is a sucker line. But you know what's going to happen is this line is, oh, well, the Ravens traded it to 32 to get the extra year with Lamar Jackson. Okay.
Jalen Milrose is not Lamar Jackson.
Go back and watch one game of Lamar Jackson and then go find Jalen Milrose's best game, which was probably the Georgia game. And Lamar Jackson would run circles around Jalen Milroe.
Lamar won 2 Heisman trophies.
Just insane.
Jalen Milroe only in the first round. Only if someone moves up to get Dart and the Steelers are as in love with Milroe as a lot of media outlets are making it out to be, because that's what I'm reading. And I still
so you think before pick 21,
someone have to move up and get exactly.
Dart, Sanders is already off the board.
Ward's obviously off the board. That's the only situation where Jalen Milroe goes. And that's still, so I put the threads together for our Stars of Tomorrow thread. And when I was doing the Jalen Milroe, I couldn't scroll twice without finding a Jalen Milroe connected to the Steelers. So where there's 100%. Smoke, there's usually fire. So
you're saying they take him at 21?
If
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, if everything goes perfectly, because Pittsburgh, from what I remember, is not a trade up in the draft kind of team.
No, it's very rare they do.
No, they're the New England Patriots. They only trade back.
Yeah.
So
no, I saw them. I think they traded up once. It was what was the draft with Devin White? When they traded up for Devin Bush.
That was only like a couple of spots, though. That was only a couple of spots in the first round. It wasn't a trade back into the first round.
Yeah.
To get a guy like Jalen Milroe. Like, for example, like if they really love Jalen Milroe and
they're not giving up the capital to get from 53 back up to.
Well, they don't have a second round pick either.
Oh, they don't even have a second. Okay.
That's the thing. It's like if they're going to trade, it's going to be to trade back. But I with the way that their quarterback room currently sits, if Shedeur Sanders is there at 21, I feel like you have to take him.
Oh, you're going to take
him. If somebody, leapfrogs them to go up and get Sanders, and maybe they're not in love with Dart, maybe they think that Milroe is the guy that they really love, they're just going to have to take a chance and hope that they can move from the third round into the second to get Jalen Milroe, because you can't, they're in no realm would the Steelers make that kind of a way overvalue pick.
No,
they don't make moves like that. It's very rare that.
Well, Kenny Pickett.
I was just gonna say, what the fuck are you talking about?
But that was, but again, that was the first quarterback taken in a draft, and it was at 22. You can justify that. In my opinion, you can justify that.
I was gonna say, but you're talking about it.
To me, the biggest whiff that they made was it was the year they were sitting at 30 or something, and they took Terrell Edmonds, the safety.
Yeah.
That was most people had third round grades on that guy. That was the biggest reach that I've seen the Steelers make in a really long time.
What bothers me so much about the Kenny Pickett draft is, at least the people I follow, and again, it's a lot of fantasy minds, we had those three quarterbacks so close, but yet the Steelers took Pickett at 22, and the other two guys didn't go till
they took him at 20.
Third round or whatever. And so clearly the rest of the NFL read those other two quarterbacks right. How did the Steelers read Pickett so fucking wrong?
Well, so it's very interesting. Their draft pick history from the Pittsburgh Steelers going back to 2011, because that's the last guy that is still playing for them. They drafted Cameron Hayward in 2011. That man is ancient and still one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL.
Yeah.
So there really isn't. You can't really peg them for what they're going to do, because they do bounce back and forth a little bit. They went David DeCastro at guard. Then they took 3 straight years of linebackers: Jarvis Jones, Ryan Shazier, Bud Dupree. All misses.
That's
Shazier was a hit, but obviously health issues. Can't really count on there. Artie Burns at corner. Whiff.
Oops.
Gone.
Yeah, that was a big whiff.
Horrible. TJ Watt. Slam dunk. Hall of Famer. Terrell Edmonds at 28 the following year. Miss.
No bueno.
Devin Bush at 10. Yeah,
that was the one. Yeah, they traded up from 20 to
yeah. Let's be clear. At 10,
no.
He didn't belong there.
No, he wasn't a first round pick, but he's not a bad player.
No.
And then you went Najee Harris, Kenny Pickett, Broderick Jones, Troy Fontenot. So the last 4 draft picks in the first round for them have all been on the offensive side of the football. Previous to that, they had not had an offensive pick in the first round since David DeCastro at guard in 2012.
I feel like they traded up for DeCastro. What slot did they take him at?
They took him at 24.
Maybe it was one of those, just a couple.
And that was some of the height of the Ben Roethlisberger years. So there's a chance they moved up a couple spots. But I'm just throwing this out there. They fucking hit first round picks out of the fucking park in a row. Troy Polamalu, Ben Roethlisberger, Heath Miller, Santonio Holmes, Lawrence Timmons, Rashard Mendenhall. chopping the tree. That is absolutely, it's a star-studded first-round pick slots right there. And then obviously they won a couple Super Bowls in that time frame for very obvious reasons looking at that draft class. But it would be surprising if they do not take a quarterback at 21, whether that be Sanders, Dart, and in Ryan's fantasy world, Jalen Milroe at 21.
Don't put that on me.
That's insane. Now, because this guy keeps getting way too much love in the chat, Tyler Shough? How the fuck you saying that? Who? Shough? Oh my God, it's even worse. There's about 100 different ways I would have pronounced his name, and
just think about this.
The worst one.
Shrug, because that's what you're getting out of this guy. He's fucking bum.
I didn't like that joke.
I didn't either.
Okay, great. Tyler Shough.
Shrug.
7-year college player I read somewhere in the chat.
With 3 season-ending injuries.
That was Josh fighting in the chat.
Yeah. So from Feldman, from The Athletic, one passing game coordinator said he's probably the most pro-ready to go in and run an offense and be able to operate. No one say anything. Schefter, there are teams that actually have Shough rated as their top quarterback in this draft. Don't say anything. And then highlighted with the Giants side of the. This is a question. Sorry. So let me just preface this. He's a 7-year fucking college quarterback. Obviously, he's the most pro-ready.
He's 25. What? He has a 401k and a Roth IRA all set up.
He's $50,000. He doesn't need to put any more in. He's going to make $1 million by the time he fucking retires. Yeah, he's the most pro-ready. He spent 7 years. I've been out of college for 7 years. I've been out of college for 7 years. I've been employed in the workforce, helping the economy, and Shough has been collecting fucking medical debt with these 3 season-ending injuries. Yeah, guys, he's the most pro-ready because he spent 7 fucking seasons in college football. Yeah. It's Brandon Weeden. Like, what do you want? Want from this guy?
Yeah, he's going to be 26 in September.
He will be 26 when the season starts.
So, God, I wish I could remember the player, but someone put up a picture of him in his first year, like lined up at quarterback while there was a wide receiver who just signed their like 3rd NFL deal out wide for him. So
I'm just sorry. I'm just going to.
I mean, his odds have jumped. I mean, when I did this on Monday, he was plus 600 to go in the first round, and he's now up to plus 300.
Okay, you want to know? Guess his NFL comp. Just guess. Guess he's 6'5", 219, hand size of 9 inches. That's fucking tiny for a quarterback, by the way. That's Kyler Murray
6'6", by the way.
Yeah, 6'6", 219. Hand size of 9 inches. That is Kyler Murray-sized hands. 4.63 40-yard dash. For a guy his size, that is pretty good. That's pretty good scooting ability for being that big. In his burst score, if you suck dick of the analytics guys, is 114.5. I can't tell you what burst score means. All I know is it's bad. So who is his player comp?
I comped him on our QB show. I said he was Temu version of Justin Herbert.
Okay, that's generous. Ryan.
With him being a tall guy, is it like Ryan Tannehill?
No, Ryan Tannehill was only like 6'4". Because Tannehill played quarterback.
Oh, of course, the Tyler Shough chat. And
Tannehill played receiver. Sorry, that's what I meant. Who throws out Kirk Cousins?
Blake Bortles.
Oh, honestly, that's a great one. According to Player Profiler,
that's football guys, I'm not going to take credit for it.
According to Player Profiler, the best comparable player to Tyler Shough is Davis Mills.
Oof.
You can't even give me an NFL starter to compare him to. Why are we talking about?
In fairness, the way that Player Profiler does their comps, they comp based on measurables and analytics.
Yep.
Yeah.
His athleticism score ranks 3rd of 4 in the whole fucking class. That's
because only like 4 quarterbacks worked out.
Obviously.
Rough year for RAS on quarterbacks.
He has 1 season over 3,000 passing yards.
Well, he only has 1 season that he actually played all
finished
12 games. Yeah. He had 3 season-ending injuries in college.
23 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. His interception to touchdown ratio ain't even that good.
Because he's not that good.
His completion percentage was 62%. He's never had a completion percentage over 70 outside of his first season.
And he had, 10 pass attempts that year?
He had 15 pass attempts. He had 15 pass attempts. The only years that he has had above 63% completion percentage are the years he's thrown less than 95 pass attempts. What do we see in this guy?
I don't see it. I get the idea that, pro ready because of his age and blah, blah, blah. Like, he's more willing to throw the ball away versus take sacks. Like, I get all of that. I do. But the problem is that the teams that you're ultimately looking to take him already have starters in place. So if he's sitting behind somebody, it's an absolute waste of a pick. Like, you are taking him with the idea that he can start right now, because then you can actually maximize that rookie contract. Because by the time it's up, he's as old as Jared Goff right now.
Brandon Weeden, 6'5", 221, hand size 9 inches.
Yeah. And the Browns, at least the Browns drafted him to start.
Matt Barkley was Brandon Weeden's best comparable player.
Ouch.
We're hyping up the wrong guy. We're hyping up the wrong guy.
Let's be clear.
None of us are.
There is a small but loud conglomerate, which our good friend Hoove is a part of, that is in love with this kid. So, and apparently G is as well.
I don't think G likes him. I think G's trolling.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Fairly positive G's trolling. Anyways, 2 running backs now, as we're 46 minutes in here. We've bounced all the way around this show.
I'll say we're gonna have no material for tomorrow night.
I'll come up with some. Note from Feldman said, 1 offensive coordinator. Again, put your sack on the table. Please just. This is a good one too. There's so much depth. You can get a legitimate dude in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round. Respectfully, that's been every draft for the last 7 years. That's not groundbreaking information.
Now,
not
like this.
This is a much deeper class.
It's a much deeper class, but let's be fair. The best running backs have come on day 2 and day 3 in the most recent.
Well, yeah, but that's when they're normally drafted.
That's because they're not going on day 1.
Yeah.
Correct. There's 2 guys. There's 1, maybe 2 guys are going to go on day 1. So my point being is, this is not a groundbreaking statement. It's Ashton Jeanty, maybe Omarion Hampton, and that's it. Right? Because
I think Travion Henderson is going to make a play.
Henderson,
okay, sure. Fine. Travion Henderson, great. Can't wait for him to be a 600-yard rusher. The best guy, not named Ashton Jeanty, is going to go in the 2nd or 3rd round.
But I think that's where the big thing is, though. The best guy not named Ashton Jeanty is so debatable for so many people.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say the gap between Hampton and the number 8 running back is not that large. And that's where I've been saying, I don't know if any of these guys outside of Jeanty go in the 1st, because why not wait until the 2nd? And everybody wants the Raiders to go Jeanty. I've been one who's been pushing back against that, because you have Chip Kelly there, and 2 of Chip Kelly's running backs are in this fucking draft, and he can land either or both.
He probably could get Judkins in the 2nd.
Yeah.
Isn't I know everybody's fucking in love with Cam Scatabo. Isn't he like a projected 3rd round pick, and he's one of the better guys?
I've seen him projected as late as 4.
Yeah, 5. Everybody was in love with him.
He can't hold on to the football.
Everyone was in love with him when the process started. It fell apart pretty.
So he has fumble issues.
He has fumble issues. I know when we had John Lobb on with the running back show, the one thing that he talked about was, because the thing that I love about Scatabo is he great contact balance and sheds a lot of tackles, right? Like that. Those are things that to me typically translate. What John Lobb pushed back on was that, they don't fundamentally teach a lot of that stuff in college anymore, which I feel like you should, truthfully. But He basically what Lob said was Scadabo is not going to be able to do what he did in college in the pros because pros will wrap up more, which I'm not 100%
I disagree with that statement
because defensive backs just throw a shoulder in. And if that's the case, Scadabo's bouncing off of those tackles.
I vehemently disagree with that statement. The guys that wrap up in the NFL are D linemen and linebackers and a select few middle linebackers. I have yet to see a cornerback wrap up since like Asante Samuel. Like he's the last guy. Like Logan Ryan was on an NFL roster until the age of 35 because he wrapped up tackling in the slot. So it's very I mean, so at that point, Scadabo's a fucking 1,300-yard rusher. Because I'm on the same page as you. Defensive backs don't wrap up in this league. So if he can, and he's probably going to go to a team that doesn't need an everyday starter and might have a good offensive line. So if he's running behind a good offensive line.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to me is Jeanty is the only one where I don't care where he lands.
Yep.
The only place, like, I mean, because he's going to be a top 5, top 10 pick. Like the one place where I'm just like, please God, don't go there is the Jets because they have Brees Hall,
and they're not going to.
And they're not going to make that move. So, everywhere else, I'm 100% fine with wherever his landing spot is.
Jacksonville doesn't scare you.
Nope. Not even. Shit, I would love Jacksonville. You kidding me? I would love that spot. I would love that spot because that tells me if they grab Jeanty, either Bigsby and or Etienne are right out the window. One of them is getting traded.
Well, at that point, you would trade Bigsby because it feels like Jeanty's obviously an all-around guy, but Jeanty and Bigsby kind of feel redundant, whereas Etienne's more of your scat back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not against it. We'll see. From Vito, first-time listener. What up, man? Lions fan. Think they make a big move tomorrow. Something unexpected. Try to make a run at the Super Bowl this year. Don't know how or who, but I think it happens. The Lions have a first-round pick?
Yeah, they picked
28.
They do.
Everybody has their own first-round pick.
I was going to say yes.
You literally led the show with that.
No, the thing was there have been no trades like this calendar year, whereas like there might have been some picks traded previously.
I guess my question is though, like, who in this draft puts the Lions closer to a Super Bowl than they already are? Like Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. Like,
yeah, I mean, really, at the end of the day, you need a quality pass rusher to play opposite Aiden Hutchinson. Like, they made the deal for, I believe it was Zadarius Smith in the middle of the year. He didn't really pan out. So, like, they don't have, because they signed Marcus Davenport. They lost him to injury. I believe they did re-sign him to another 1-year deal. But Davenport wasn't even good in New Orleans. So, like, you're counting on somebody who doesn't really have a.
Remember when the Saints traded up 13 spots to get Marcus Davenport?
And gave up a future first. Yeah, it was
fucking horrible.
But I mean, those are the types of moves you make for pass rushers, especially in that class, which, if I'm not mistaken, was pretty light on pass rushers. I digress. But this draft is deep with pass rushers. And I think that there's an area where Detroit could go the route of pass rusher, grab like a James Pierce Jr., the BC kid, Izaruko, I believe I know I'm pronouncing that wrong.
So I'll throw out, and according to Peter Schrager, he has them taking Will Johnson, the cornerback out of Michigan.
See, and Will Johnson is somebody that he has fallen a lot. I remember when this whole process started, people were pegging him to Jacksonville at 5. Yep. But losing time this past year for injury, the uptick in people seeing Jahdae Barron, like there, and Johnson is good. Like, you look at what he did in 2023 when Michigan won the title. That dude was an absolute lockdown corner for the Wolverines. Like, I think he gave up like a 22 passer rating. Like, it was absurd how good he was. But again, the injury concerns, Maxwell Hairston from, I believe it's Kentucky, like running the 4.28 40 that he did. Like, he's moving on up the way that Nate Wiggins moved up last year. Like, speed kills, right? They don't know how healthy Will Johnson is. He's had a lot of injuries in college. So getting a good value, like, this is where good teams stay good, because the teams picking early, they get scared by the little things because they can't make the mistakes because they're going to end up right back there in the front. Good teams that pick in the back end of the draft they take advantage of that because they have wiggle room if some of these players that they draft don't pan out.
So they do have Schrager has Shamar Stewart going at 29 to the Commanders, edge rusher out of Texas A&M. So there's a chance that if in Peter Schrager's world Stewart falls, that could be Detroit's pick. And obviously, this is an NFL era where you can't have enough edge rushers and you can't have enough receivers.
Yeah.
So obviously, you want to get an edge rusher opposite. I personally, the rich get richer, help your offense. Go get a receiver. I don't think Jameson Williams is a one.
Well, yeah, and now they're talking the trade rumors with him, and
so he's a one-trick pony deep threat. So if you can find a more versatile guy to be on the outside,
well, and that's
where Amon will run wild in the slot.
I was gonna say if our guy wants a big move, if Tet McMillan starts to fall, is Tet McMillan the big move? You come up and get the guy who for 365 days was the number one wide receiver in this draft, and now all of a sudden people have
he was number
issues
4
with
to
him.
New England forever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something like, does Emeka Egbuka fall that far? I haven't seen him go down that far, but
I have actually. They could stay put and get Egbuka by a lot of the mocks I'm seeing. So
yeah,
and I will point this out because Hoove and I have had this conversation. He thinks that trolling. Detroit could be he legitimately thinks this, that Detroit could be in a position to
do you
where
have a concussion? Like, I'm not a Jared Goff defender by any means, but you're gonna go, let me go with a worse quarterback than Jared Goff. That's the pick.
Plus, you already got Hendon Hooker, baby.
Yeah, like. You already have a bad SEC quarterback. Why double down?
Going and getting Teddy Bridgewater last year tells you how that team feels about Hendon Hooker.
The fact that Teddy Bridgewater became the fucking backup after coming back from coaching a high school championship ended any hope of Hendon Hooker ever having a career in the NFL.
Yeah. Timeout. Teddy Bridgewater's a fucking dog. Okay, don't put some respect on his name. Teddy Bridgewater. Statistically, for those analytics nerds, Teddy Bridgewater is statistically the most average quarterback in NFL history. If you look at the stats, it's that XY graph. You know, those really good guys are up here in the top right.
Middle, dog.
When I tell you he is the fucking dot in the middle of the graph at the intersection of the lines. He's the crossing guard at the intersection. That is who fucking Teddy Bridgewater is. Absolutely elite. You have to be that good to be that average. Let's be honest. That's just impressive. Yeah, Teddy Two Gloves. That's just absolutely impressive. He is 0-0-0, as Joel said. He is literally 0-0-0 on the fucking graph. It's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So, all right. Love that we talked a little bit of defense here.
Yeah.
But we did get a Detroit Lions fan in here. My camera decided to be a little fuzzy at this point in time. But just as we're sitting here at the back end of the draft, there's obviously 3 picks after the Washington Commanders. So just updating everyone on what Schrager feels and believes. They're all defensive players at the end of the draft. Shocking, the 3 teams that all they don't need offense. I mean, you could argue the Bills definitely need a receiver.
Oh, no. I'm saying, and I don't think Schrager projects trades, does he?
He had 2 trades. He had the Jackson Dart trade up, and then he had the Colts trading up to take Loveland.
One of those 3 teams is going to trade for somebody who's coming up to get something.
And I agree with that statement. This to me is the only spot.
Philly will make some moves.
Exactly.
This to me is the only spot where you could maybe see a team sneak up and try and draft Jalen Milroe, because they want that 5th-year option. So. And Josh Palmer's a dog, right? Let's get that out of the fucking way. Josh Palmer's a dog, and Josh is on that train. But the Bills, Malachi Starks, the safety out of Georgia.
Yeah.
For the Chiefs, James Pierce Jr., the edge rusher out of Tennessee.
Yep.
And
that's a team that I think you can keep an eye on. Travion Henderson.
Are they really going to pull some dumb shit and draft another running back?
That's not dumb. Travion Henderson is
good. They're going to CEH.
He's not Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I promise you.
I feel like they're going to CEH the shit out of Travion Henderson. And then the Eagles will take Maxwell Hairston out of Kentucky, the cornerback. So
see, I don't think they go corner.
No.
I think if Malachi Starks really starts to fall, I think that they'll make a move up potentially to get him. And as I mentioned earlier, they're going line, whether it's defense or offense. They're getting a big boy.
I would say, what fucking Georgia players falling to them? And that's Malachi Starks.
Yeah, I mean, well, like I said, I mean, I personally think Jalen Walker is. Wait, no. Yeah, it's Walker. What?
Walker?
What?
Yeah, Jalen Walker. I personally think he's a top 5 talent in this draft.
Yeah, I
but
think
like
he's
I said,
top
I feel like there's
for sure, so.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of like mock drafts that sometimes he falls, sometimes he doesn't. I think that's a guy that Philly could very well make a move up for. Obviously, the Georgia connections, we can make jokes about it all the time, but it's legitimately there.
I mean,
same thing with Starks. But defensive tackle, I think they love Walter Nolan. I've seen Derek Harmon and Kenneth Grant both getting mocked to Philly. I haven't seen a ton with Shamar Stewart. I love the athleticism there, but if you can't package that with the production, you're a workout warrior as far as I'm concerned. And I've seen a lot of James Pierce Jr. as well, but not 100% sold on the Tennessee kid. So,
respectfully, I don't know anything about Travion Henderson, and I don't care to know until he's on an NFL
We're not
roster.
saying Henderson is CEH. We're saying the Chiefs are going to fuck.
The Chiefs are going to CEH Henderson.
Yeah.
I can't tell you a lick of shit about Travion Henderson. Besides that, I'm pretty sure there's already an NFL running back that was drafted 3 or 4 years ago with the exact same fucking name that went to Cincinnati. And you want to know where he is? Not in the NFL anymore. So that's I don't care about guys until they're drafted on an NFL roster and in camp. I don't care because they mean nothing to me up until that point. And speaking of nothing, dynasty. Derek made some trades. Traded Kyler Murray, I assume Marvin Harrison. That's the only Harrison I can think of. Tank Bigsby for CeeDee Lamb. You won. And the 1-0 and the 1-5. How the fuck did you finesse that? Flipped the 1-5 to the 1-3, then traded the 1-3 and 2/4 for Fields, Laporta in the 4-4. I got the 1-2 for running back. Okay.
A lot to unpack here.
Fucking, you take me on a math journey here. Okay. So you have CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, you won that trade. Yeah, and you got the 1-5 with Lamb, which is
insane.
Well, he does it because he doesn't have the 5 anymore. So he has.
Yeah, I know.
He has Lamb, the 1-3, Fields, Laporta,
and the 4-4.
Yeah,
I got
for Murray, Harrison, and Bigsby. I think he already had the 1-2. Is kind of.
I'm lost.
It's a very loaded question that makes.
I think he might have moved CMC for 1-2.
I'm gonna say this. It is a super flex, and he did trade a quarterback, so that kind of hurts, especially one that runs. But
Murray's average to me. Murray doesn't run as much as he should.
And go get CeeDee Lamb. That's obviously like.
Yeah, well, hold on. No, okay, I read that as San Francisco. He means I got the 1-2 for a running back in Superflex.
Yeah.
So he probably can grab a quarterback because Jeanty's going 1, so now he's getting Cam Ward, if I'm understanding this properly.
In theory.
Fields, Laporta, and this is a home run. So
yeah.
Fields is going to play all season is the projection.
That's what I'm saying. That's the other part is how long is Kyler Murray for the NFL? So
that's what I'm saying. He's been very average. Like he has not been a difference maker for Arizona.
I stand by my statement that I said when he came out, he should have played in the MLB.
Yeah.
I stand by that statement.
Would have made a lot more money.
I just would have made a lot more money. Your body wouldn't have been fucked up as much. You would have played center field. You would have been drafted center fielder for the Oakland Athletics.
Yep. And then you'd be in Vegas.
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't be on the A's anymore.
That's true. To be fair,
he'd be a Yankee.
To be fair, he would not be in Oakland. He would not be in Oakland A.
Yeah.
But yes, I stand by the statement that Kyler Murray should have played baseball, and I said that when he got fucking drafted. So, you got CeeDee Lamb,
top 10 MLB draft pick. Like he was
the 1-8 in the MLB draft. That's insane. Yeah. Like if you're a top 10 pick in the MLB, you will see an MLB roster.
Yeah,
probably that season, if not immediately,
the very next year.
If not immediately, because the MLB, for those that don't know, if you don't call a guy up until after May or a certain date in May, they're still considered a rookie for the following year. So you get an extra year of them on your roster. It's the dumbest fucking rule on planet Earth. It's so dumb. That's why I think Aaron Judge was not called up until like May 26th, because the Yankees wanted an extra year on his rookie deal.
Yankees aren't usually big on that. It's cost control teams like the Rays that take advantage.
They have to protect.
Yes, but they did that with Judge. They kept him in single A Tampa until May, because the Braves did the same thing with Ronald Acuna. They worked him through the system up until May and then called him up.
I knew the Braves did that with Acuna. Yeah.
Yep. Because
that's another team that doesn't love spending money.
Yeah.
So
because Acuna and Judge were I watched Acuna and Judge play against each other in single A. That was fucking unbelievable.
That's awesome.
But yeah, like that's what it is. It's fucking baseball, so stupid. Anyways, here we go. Just some quick things on lines if you're looking to bet. Which team will draft Ashton Jeanty? The overwhelming favorite is the Raiders, but if you feel confident in the Jags, they're plus 200. Is it great money? No, but it is plus money, and it feels pretty good, and they're obviously ahead of the Raiders. So there's a chance with that. Excuse me. After that, Bears plus 350. If he falls to the Bears, that's crazy.
Well, I think the noise is that the Bears are going to try to trade up to get him.
Yeah, Joe, I actually heard that your Patriots are their partner.
Because they're going to have to jump Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Like I've seen people like trade, like kind of make that swap in mocks where the Bears trade with Jacksonville. I don't think that's the case. I think if the Bears are going to get Jeanty, they need to go to 4.
I read the trade scenario today for Patriots and Bears. I didn't dig enough into it to see if there was any smoke or if it was just some Redditor talking out of their ass. So I don't want to, but I saw that the Patriots are the potential partner. If the right players go ahead of the Patriots pick, that the Patriots are willing to listen to move down.
If Carter's there at 4 and they move, I'm pissed. But
no, it's Carter and Hunter being gone was the move that it would take. So
yeah, because I think they can still find an offensive tackle at 10.
They can find an offense, just a lineman. Give me anybody. Give me a breathing first round body on the offensive line. I'm okay if they then trade down, get some more draft capital, because then they can get, again, extra pick for running back. Yep, extra pick for a receiver. Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, that's moving back to, I believe, 10. And that's, you can find somebody there easily. So yes, but the Patriots are plus 800, Bears plus 350. Then you go on Broncos, Saints, 1,000, 2,000. That's not going to happen. Running backs to go in the first round, though. Amarion Hampton. If you wanted good odds on him, you're going to have to bet $1,600 to win 100. I wouldn't do that.
That's crazy.
Wouldn't do that. Travion Henderson's plus 125. Quinton Judkins is plus 1,800. You want some good odds right there. And then Caleb Johnson is plus 3,000. Those guys are probably literally the first 2 picks of the second round or something like that. Like they're very high in the
That's why I think there's money to be put on those guys. If someone wants those guys and moves up and CEHs this thing, there's some interesting money to be made there.
Yep. Going to the wide receivers, Feldman says there's some good mid-level talent, but not any high-end talent. In this line for receivers selected in the first, this is not considering Travis Hunter as a wide receiver. So Hunter would be considered as a cornerback in this. The line is at 2.5. And the odds currently have the overwhelming favorite is the over at minus 285, the unders plus 215. It's not good enough to really put any money on it, but we're looking at Tet McMillan, Emeka Egbuka,
Matthew
Golden,
Luther Burden-ish.
And that's the thing is, Ryan, you've said it. We've seen Tet at 4. We've seen Tet at 34.
Yep.
We've seen Emeka Egbuka at 17. We've seen him at 57.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's no. So I mean, if you don't feel good about these receivers, there's been plenty of NFL drafts in recent history where has not been a lot of receivers.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I'll throw a couple of bucks on doubling my money up, tripling my money up on no, just because of how wild the swings are at wide receiver right now. So.
Good question here in Dynasty with Travis Hunter in non-IDP leagues, because obviously in IDP leagues, you could argue that Travis Hunter is your 101 in those leagues.
Yeah, I added that as a bonus.
If it's an IDP super flex, I'm probably taking Hunter first.
I mean, at that point, if you're going to play him at your defensive back position and he gets you 5 for 50 in the receiving game, sure,
he's Shohei at that point.
Yeah, I mean, literally, he's Shohei Ohtani in fantasy baseball. Are there landing spots where you're fading him in non-IDP leagues though? Or is there a premium spot where you'd still move him up the rankings? Obviously the IDP leagues, he's the 101. And non-IDP, I feel like, I don't know if I'm sitting there just standard league, non super flex, not anything like that, because obviously super flex kind of fucks with it. We don't know where the quarterback's going to land. Does he make it past 3?
And so that's why I almost didn't make this question, because me and Josh debated whether we should have a Travis Hunter question. The one thing I wanted to point out is, of all of the places he could land in the top 10, and I understand he's not going anywhere, the Browns and the Saints are my least favorite. Like, I don't want him going somewhere where there are quarterback issues and you don't know how they're going to deploy him and all these other problems. So the fact that he is very likely a Cleveland Brown is what's hurt Travis Hunter in my rankings. I can't move him. I love Luther Burden. I love everything I've seen from Luther Burden. I need to take another look at Matthew Golden, clearly, because he's going to likely get the first round capital. I can't move Travis Hunter past Luther Burden because I don't believe in how the Browns will use Travis Hunter. And that's my biggest issue. I want to love this kid. I don't want to love the Browns. So
he'll be the wide receiver 1 over Jared Judy by season's end.
And you're probably right. It's just, I have this issue.
Yeah, the problem is Kenny Pickett's going to be thrown.
That's what I was going to say. He's the number 1 wide receiver with a fucking old man Joe Flacco or fucking Kenny Pickett, and no thank you. So
yeah,
put some respect on Joe Flacco.
Yeah, because we really wanted, Michael Pittman last year. So like, I'm not bought into this, especially a guy like, and I understand you can't equate one thing to the other. Like, the Cleveland Brown cornerbacks, I cover the Cleveland Browns every year for Football Guys in the preseason. The Cleveland Brown corners end up with so many fucking concussions. I don't know if it's the way they coach or what's going on there, but Travis Hunter's going to miss time off of injuries, and I just hate the landing spot so much.
Who've asked when you feel differently the Jags moved up for Hunter and was paired with Trevor Lawrence?
Yes, I'd feel great about it.
I mean,
Travis Hunter and fucking Brian Thomas, are you kidding me?
Trevor Lawrence is dog.
I think the only issue with that is that's my big issue with Ted McMillan. I don't think that Ted is like a true number 1, and Hunter's not going to be the true number 1 there in Jacksonville. And I don't think that they're going to throw enough to both of those guys. Well, actually, you know what? It's Liam Cohen. It could very well be the case. You're not wrong. Maybe Cohen plays, Hunter in more the Chris Godwin role, and then Brian Thomas in the Mike Evans role, versus like if Jacksonville went Ted would play more Mike Evans, and then, Brian Thomas plays more the Chris Godwin. So
it's not going to happen, but
I just want to throw Joel up here real quick. That man is like 2 inches to 3 inches taller and 50 pounds heavier than Wan'Dale fucking Robinson.
I don't know much about Luther Burden, but I have seen like a couple of plays of tape of him. He's not small.
I think it's more play style, because
I know.
Everything is within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage.
PPR monster. PPR monster. But talking about Tet and Matthew Golden, it's split opinions on them. The odds are that McMillan is minus 290 and Golden's plus 200 to be the first receiver off the board.
Well, Golden ran that 40, and we know how the NFL is. Yep.
I think it was PFF that comped him to Stephon Diggs, and I wanted to throw up.
Golden?
I was like, Stephon Diggs is an elite route runner. Matthew Golden is nothing close to that.
No. Football Guys has him comped to Brandon Cooks, which feels much more appropriate.
That feels a lot more accurate.
I'm gonna player profiler. Also, I just clicked on Matt Barkley by accident. His comp is Ryan Fitzpatrick, and that gave me a giggle. I'm looking at Matthew Golden's comp here. That's what we're Googling real quick. Matthew Golden out of Texas. Okay, guys. 5'11", 191.
Yep.
4.29 40-yard dash, ranks in the 100th percentile amongst receivers, obviously. Best comparable player, a strongly notable former Washington Redskin, wore the number 10.
Sean Jackson?
Santana Moss. I don't know how you feel about that.
I can see that. I've seen a lot of Santana Moss being a Miami guy.
Yeah, I was going to say Josh big Santana Moss guy, I'm sure.
Santana Moss was an absolute fucking weapon.
I love Santana Moss.
Santana Moss was so much fun.
Moss.
I don't know if I would go that far with Matthew Golden, I think Golden really struggles to get off the line of scrimmage. He can very easily be bullied.
How do you struggle to get off the line of scrimmage at 4.29? That's crazy.
And he does not play at 4.29 at all. You do not see that on tape. I didn't anyway.
Well, and that's my question here, because this is not shocking because everybody's comparing Tet to Drake London, and that's what Player Profiler has. Tet runs a 4.58. That is not blazing speed. That is not blazing NFL speed.
Nope.
But everyone says you turn on the tape, he does not play at 4.58. He plays faster than 4.58. So when you're showing the tape of Matthew Golden, if he doesn't play that fast and Tet's playing at the same speed, why does it fucking matter?
Yeah.
That's the point is, and that Xavier Worthy, kind of the same thing where like he had the blazing speed, but very clearly you saw he was using that to get behind defenses and use his speed. If Golden's not doing that, then what's the point? Texas just going for these fucking speedsters at the wide receiver position, apparently.
They definitely had a type in their recruiting over the last few years.
Yeah, fully. So Golden, that, and then Emeka Egbuka, he's the one I've seen go all over the place, and which feels weird because literally Ohio State is wide receiver university. Right now.
It's such an interesting path that all of these wide receivers have taken, because Emeka Egbuka, when we started before Tet McMillan kind of immersed himself as the guy, we kind of all thought it was going to be Egbuka, and now there's arguments that he's the 5, but there's
and that's the problem with Egbuka, is that he was never the true number 1 on his own team. Like Ohio State just keeps pumping out all. And
then you have Jeremiah Smith come in this year, and
exactly. And Egbuka he's the yeoman. He just comes in, he does what he needs to do. He's a team guy. Like, I mean, I comped him to Robert Woods. Like, I want to see him go to the Rams at 26. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, Josh, that's where
he's not going to be much of anything in year 1, but
that's
after, like, when you get Puka and Egbuka, oh my God, give me all of that.
Puka Egbuka.
There you go. Give me all of that.
So 6'1", 202.
I mean, that's blocker too, and a willing blocker.
Like, that's a prototypical NFL size receiver range.
I also wouldn't hate if the Steelers find a way to trade Pickens if he ends up in Pittsburgh opposite DK.
Well, yeah, that wouldn't be surprising. But it's funny you say comp for Robert Woods. I feel it's funny because I feel like this guy could also comp. The comp is Jeremy Maclin. That also kind of feels like a Robert Woods vibe kind of guy. But
not really. Maclin wasn't. I love Jeremy Maclin. One of my favorite Eagles. Love
Jeremy Maclin.
But he wasn't the blocker and the gritty that
he's not getting
Robert
dirty.
Woods is. Yeah, he was.
No,
he was definitely more of a finesse
from
receiver.
A receiver standpoint. Yeah, I think they were kind of roughly the same. Macklin's 6'1", 198, and his comp was Reggie Wayne coming out. So Reggie Wayne, I believe, was 5'11". He was on the smaller side of things.
Very similar play styles. I can see that.
Yep, extremely similar play styles. Literally the exact same build, 6'1", 198. So it'd be very interesting to see what they do. And just for the shits and giggles of we were talking about Luther Burden, let's just see. Is it Wan'Dale Robinson? Luther Burden the third?
Deebo Samuel.
The comp is not Deebo Samuel, Josh. And he does have the prototypical 6 foot 206, 4.41. Very prototypical. His comp is Sammy Watkins. 1 week of absolute domination.
Well, 2 sometimes. The last week is
maybe 2
sometimes. Yeah.
And then he's hurt.
Yeah. There is no Sammy Watkins in his game.
Let me tell you,
football guys comps him to DJ Moore.
That's
what I saw. Like
because this is the funny thing is Player Profiler clearly does their comps off analytics.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's what we were trying to tell you earlier. It's all measurables and analytics.
It's all measurables and analytics. Like, that is so clear with this stuff. And that's why it's so funny. Like, analytics is not it by far from being a perfect tool. So it's just very funny to see these. And that's why I love player comps, because they are the dumbest things on planet Earth. While CeeDee Lamb comparing to Jerry Rice,
I was going to say, I don't mind player comps that aren't based on one thing. If you're taking
a lot of things, a combination,
and you see something of one guy in another guy's game, I don't hate player comps down that route. But player comps off of size, or player comps off of measurables, or player comps off of who else played for that school in the past. I don't tend to love those.
Yeah. Hey. How often am I right?
More often than you're wrong.
Correct. Exactly. So shut up. We literally just said Ohio State University wide receiver.
Joe,
we just said it.
Poking the bear.
Anyways, tight ends. Let's wrap up this fucking bow in 10 seconds here. But I did love this from a tight end coach. The top end of this group is really good. Compares well to the 2018 class. Let me tell you that the 2018 class is not as good as this tight end coach thinks it is. Here we go.
Honestly, I kind of think they may have meant the 2017 because that was the year with Howard, Ingram, and Njoku going in the first round, if I'm not mistaken.
Howard. Why am I blanking on?
OJ Howard.
OJ,
Thank
buddy.
you. Oh my God. Fucking OJ Howard.
That was a bust. Oh my God.
He had a couple decent years and then he just fell up.
No, the problem was the Bucs didn't really use him as a wide receiver.
Correct. Yeah, because he was
that was the problem.
He was
they
6'5", 220
pick on a guy to block. Like,
yeah. So the 2018 class, Hayden Hurst, not bad, not a first round pick.
No, they made
Mike. He was an older first round pick too because he was a baseball player.
Played for the Pirates. Mike Gesicki at 210, not bad, not a second round pick.
I'd argue that.
No, I would put him up there. That's fine.
Yeah.
Dallas Goedert, a fine second round pick.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews, a very good third round pick. Then Jordan Akins.
Oops. I mean, for where he got taken, it's not terrible.
And he's had some solid games when pushed into duty. So.
Shut up. Ian Thomas.
No, thank you, Lauren Carpenter.
Chris Herndon.
I love that Lauren probably doesn't remember.
That man had a dog. He had a dog season.
I just remember. I love that Lauren probably doesn't even know that we have forever equated her. To
forever
Ian
remember that moment.
Yeah.
She stood fucking ground.
She was 10 toes on Ian Thomas.
And he was 2 for 8 that week.
Yeah.
Will Dissly, Dalton Schultz, Tyler Conklin. I didn't love Chris Herndon. He just happened to be the only tight end in the New York Jets offense. It just happened to be the guy. And as we all know, I hate tight ends and just need a guy to score a touchdown. And he did that for me a couple times. So
it's such a weird class to compare it to.
It's a bad class. Like, respectfully, it's a bad class.
The guy who went
It's an average class.
Well, the guy
Mark Andrews makes it average. If you take out Mark Andrews, it's a bad class.
So again,
and then you saw Dallas Goedert. He's a very talented tight end.
So here's what I don't like though is you're comparing it to that class, and to me that class is a look what you can find in the middle rounds.
Yeah.
And so then you're
let me take Tyler Warren at 7
and Colston Loveland at 11.
At 10.
That's why I think, like, truthfully, it should have been compared to the 2017 class.
Yeah, because to me, who just threw up Mason Taylor and Elijah Arroyo, to me, this class screams Mason Taylor, Elijah Arroyo, Harold Fannin, because I'm going to get these guys in the third round, and one of them is Mark Andrews. So.
Yeah, it's just, Josh, I'll go back to 2017 just because you were talking about OJ Howard, Evan Ingram, David Njoku, but OJ Howard didn't go until 19.
Yeah,
and then even after that, you could then you're looking at Gerald Everett, solid starting tight end.
Yeah.
He can't block, but solid starting tight end. Adam Shaheen, not a great pass catcher, but a very good blocker. Jonnu Smith, obviously a very up and down career.
Yeah.
George Kittle,
stud.
Jesus.
Eric Saubert's still in the league as a blocking tight end. So that's a good tight end.
It's a hell of a class for tight ends. So
that's a good tight end.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I hope this tight end coach was misquoted and it was actually the 2017 class that they meant. But that's what I look at. I look at like this class to me has that kind of potential because, we talked with Brandon Hay last week. Like, there's some depth in this class. Like, even if once you get past, the Tyler Warren and the Colston Loveland, like, there's talent here. Elijah Arroyo, good in the middle of the field.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Junior literally led all of college football last year in receiving yards.
The guys from 3 to 6 in my rankings, Fannin, Arroyo, Taylor, and Gadsden, those are my favorites. I'll be honest. I haven't done as much research into Warren and Loveland as I should, but their first round
You're just
pick,
accepting that they're good, right?
Exactly. But then when I look at the next three guys and their profiles as receivers, which everybody who knows me and watches this show, last year it was Theo Johnson and Tetairoa Sanders. I fall in love with these guys, and it doesn't always work out. But if it does, they're going to be so much better because they're already receivers. So,
and I'll say exactly what I said last week. Outside of Loveland and Warren, and even to an extent, it matters to them. It's all about landing spot because there's still only a small, like couple handfuls of offensive coordinators that actually want to get the tight end involved in the receiving game.
Yep.
So if any of these guys are going to places where offensive coordinators just don't have a history of throwing the football to the tight end, it does not matter what their upside looks like.
Yeah.
Sorry, I want to end on this because I went deep dive. I'm looking at all the tight end draft picks since all these previous years. 2010 was a fucking banger, and that's how we're going to end tonight's show before we head into the NFL draft tomorrow. First guy off the board, Jermaine Gresham at 121. Was he a first-round pick? No. Was he good? Kinda.
He was solid.
He was solid.
He was okay.
Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah. I thought
Hall of Famer. Second round. Ed Dixon, third round. Dog. Absolute fucking dog. Ed Dixon. Jimmy Graham, third round. Dog. Aaron Hernandez, fourth round.
Yep.
Dog. Dennis Pitta. Dog.
I was going to say, because Dixon went to Baltimore as well, right? Didn't they double up in that draft? Or
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not done yet. Clay Harbor. Dog. Philadelphia Eagle. Michael Ho'omanawanui.
Oh, I forgot about him.
Dog. Dude, the 2010 class had some bangers at tight end. After that, it was absolutely atrocious. But they had some bangers in the first 4 rounds. Andrew Corliss had a couple seasons.
The fact that we got Gronk, Jimmy Graham, and Aaron Hernandez in the same draft is
and
wow.
One team got 2 of them.
And one team took both of them. Yeah.
Yeah,
and Jimmy Graham was drafted by the team that had Jeremy Shockey on it already. So,
well, that was like dead Jeremy Shockey.
It was because Jimmy Graham took over at the very end of that year because Shockey couldn't handle it anymore. So,
yeah. Oh my god.
Oh, I love Jeremy Shockey.
Timeout. No, I'm sorry. Was it okay? I read this wrong. I thought it said at the 1-2. This was the second pick in the second round. Kobe Fleener from the Colts.
Oh yeah,
he had at least one solid season.
He did, but it's hilarious that the Colts went back-to-back tight ends and back-to-back rounds, Kobe Fleener and Dwayne Allen.
I remember Dwayne Allen.
I think my new favorite thing is going back and look at how bad tight end draft picks are. I think that's my new favorite thing now because these are atrocious. I get Vance McDonald. Hello. Tyler Eifert.
One stiff arm put that guy on the map. Unbelievable.
Tyler Eifert.
Yeah.
Remember the new, you know what's great? The Lions said, you know how good Brandon Pettigrew was in the first round for us in 2009?
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again in 2014 with Eric Ebron, except 10 picks higher.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, you did. Oh, God, it's the worst fucking position in all of sports. It's the worst position in all of sports.
Yeah. It's that thing you don't want to do.
Correct. Boom. All right. Tomorrow night, folks, 8th annual NFL draft live streaming round 1, because we say every year, who the fuck cares about the other rounds? The other rounds are going to be extremely fantasy relevant this year. So you definitely do want to pay attention to, I would say, especially rounds 2 and 3 in at least round 4, because you will see some, maybe not this year in round 4, but in Dynasty, you're going to see some probably third-round picks for you in the 4th round.
We'll be live at 9:00 on Mock It Like It's Hot on Friday. So,
yep, there you go. But we will have the NFL live draft live stream tomorrow. Again, we'll start at 8 p.m. Eastern. We used to start at 7:30, 30 minutes before the draft, but in reality, 8 p.m. is really 30 minutes before the draft.
45 minutes.
Not even going to go off till 8:30 anyway.
Yeah, because Roger Goodell doesn't walk on stage until 8:15, and then the clock starts at 8:23, and for some reason, it takes the Titans 7 minutes to get their pick in.
Pretty much, yeah.
Sure. So if you want to come here, listen to me ream every single draft pick and make fun of every single team in the NFL, because I can do it. I'll make fun of every single one of them. Come here, have some giggles, have some laughs. You're going to get the best analysis that your devices can offer.
Yeah.
And we're going to be here. We'll have a bunch of people here that we're just going to shuffle through, have some fun throughout the night. Maybe I'll order a pizza. I don't know. Haven't decided yet.
We did do that, actually. That was the year that I came and visited you up in New Hampshire to live stream. We ordered pizzas in the middle of the drive.
That was before me, yeah.
Yeah, ordered pizza. Yeah, that was BR before Ryan.
Yes.
BR before Ryan. I was trying to work in a BC, but there's literally no C in your name. So unless your name was Ryan Christopher, but I didn't think that was your middle name.
It's not.
Oh. It would work. I'm not gonna lie. Ryan Christopher.
I was gonna say that would have been hilarious if it were.
It works. So what's your middle name?
What if my name was Ryan Joshua?
And then is it really?
Then unfortunately this would be your last show, and we'd have to.
It's Andrew.
Ryan Andrew Weiss. All right. I like Christopher more. You should get it changed.
I'll see what I can do.
All right, great. Fantastic. Folks, that is all she wrote. It's fucking I hate this. I
gotta say, normally a 90-minute show, I'm like not happy at the end. This was a good 90-minute show. I'm not mad at it at all. So.
40 minutes on quarterbers, but
exactly.
It wasn't really. We mixed in some other stuff.
It was 45 minutes on quarterbacks.
Yeah, it was worth it in the end. It was worth it because you want to know what it did? It forced me to not talk about tight ends for super long.
There you go.
That's always the goal. It's always the goal. So, all right, we'll see everybody back here tomorrow in 21 and a half hours. Excuse me, my quick math online here. For Josh, Ryan, myself, you follow Club Fantasy on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Club Fantasy FFL. The URL, clubfantasyffl.com. If Tyler Shough gets drafted in the first round tomorrow, Josh will streak on camera.
Are you volunteering me for this?
Okay.
And no, that will not be the case.
If Tyler Shough gets drafted in the first round tomorrow, I will shotgun a beer on our next show.
Boom. I'm with it.
It will be a Bush Apple that is the only one I can barely stomach. So
I didn't know that was a beer.
Bush Light
I didn't
Apple.
either.
Bush Apple.
I don't drink beer. I'm a rum guy.
I don't either. Let me give you a quick little anecdote, quick story. Played beer darts in North Dakota. Our baseball team put a Bush Apple in front of me, and if they hit the dart with the beer can, you got to drink.
Those in stores.
Listen, all I know is that in North Dakota they handed me a Bush Apple and I drank it, and I said,
but I do want to throw out Anheuser-Busch if you guys are looking for sponsorship opportunities. I'll drink a Bush Apple. I'll also shotgun a Bush Apple.
I'll stick to my tequila seltzers. How about
that? Respectfully, all beer tastes like piss. So this is nothing against you, Bush Apple, but all beer is horrible.
Literally was just talking about that yesterday. I cannot stand it.
I don't know if I'll shotgun it, but I'll drink a full Bush Apple
faster than Joe would normally drink a full Bush Apple.
Which is I could sip that for 7 hours and it'd be faster than I would normally drink a Bush Apple. So all right, folks, we'll see everybody tomorrow. Always remember, defense wins championships, offense wins fantasy football. We will see you tomorrow night.